It has been a long while since Archon Shards have been introduced, and I never really made a guide on how to farm them up. Considering there's going to be a big update coming out, a lot of old players may be coming back to the game, and there being a lot of ways of farming up Archon Shards nowadays, I think this is going to be perfect for you guys. So let's quickly hop into the video. I remember when they added in the Archon Shards, there was only one way to get one per week, so it was very scarce. Nowadays, as I mentioned earlier, you have a lot of ways to farm them up. Today, I'll be talking about what you actually need to do to unlock the Archon Shards, what they actually do, each one of them, because there is a decent amount of them, and I'll be also talking about the primary reason for this video, where to actually farm them. So let's talk about how do you actually unlock the Helminth system. First of all, you need to complete the new war quest and then the Veilbreaker quest to unlock the Helminth and the Archon Shard system. Here, as you can see, every single one of your Warframes is going to have 5 Archon Shard slots, and in each one of them you can place in whichever one you want, each one of them giving a different buff and also depending on their color. I'm going to quickly mention them here. You have red, yellow, blue, you have orange, purple, and then green. They are named after gems. I'll leave them up on screen. There you go. I'll leave it up on screen for convenience, but I'll name them by their color scheme. Nonetheless, the first way of farming up Archon Shards is going to be the Archon Hunt itself. The Archon Hunt is going to be 3 missions, 2 normal missions like, for example, Exterminate or Spy combined with Excavation, Defense, or Survival, and then the 3rd mission is going to be the actual showdown against the Archon himself. Now, the Warframe that I use is going to be Calervo with the Glaive Prime. Both builds up on screen right now. This is my easiest way of just getting clear of the Archon, and here when you get rid of him, execute him, rip the Archon Shard out of him, extract the mission, you are gonna get that week's corresponding Archon Shard. They are on a rotation. They go red, blue, and then yellow, and depending on if you got a Tauforged or not, which is an upgraded version, you will have an increased chance next week by 20% to gain the Tauforged one that you didn't gain this week. Now, Tauforged Archon Shards. You can gain Tauforged Archon Shards pretty much here and in the other methods that I will mention a little bit later on, but Tauforged have better statistic values than the base variant. So for example, let's take this blue one. It's not going to give you 50 energy like the base one does. It is going to give you 75 extra energy. Same goes for the red ones. For example, they're not going to give you 10% power strength. They're going to give you 15% power strength. So they're just a little bit more powerful. Second way of farming up Archon Shards, and this is going to be one of your primary ways of actually farming up a lot of loot for these Archon Shards, we're going to be talking about Netracells. Netracell runs, what you need to do here is, first of all, to unlock them, you need the Whispers in the Wall quest completed. When you do, you will unlock the Sanctum Anatomica, and once you do, you can go inside and then you can go and talk with Fibonacci, he gives you the bounties for the Cavia standing, so I highly recommend you talk to him, do a couple of these bounties to increase your standing because it is going to be very beneficial, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Try to get to rank 5, keeping in mind that you do gain a little bit of standing from Netracells, but do the bounties. That is my highest recommendation. And then you can go and talk to Tegfear about the Netracells. The actual Netracell runs, you can do 5 per week, determined by these search pulses right here. And you can get the rewards that are listed right there. As you can see, you can get even Tauforged Archon Shards, which is going to be pretty cool. You have a chance, if you're extremely lucky, and I never was, to get 5 per week, so that would be amazing. So we're up to, I guess, theoretically 6 Archon Shards already. But if we go to bird 3 in our little navigation menu right here, we can go and scroll down into his shiny treasures and find that he also has a base Archon Shard for sale for 30,000 standing. And that's why I highly recommend you increase your standing, because this is basically a free Archon Shard. It's always going to be a base one, so keep that in mind, but it's always good to have, considering you can combine them a little bit later on. And now, going to talk to Necroloid, we have Deep Archimedea and Elite Deep Archimedea. There are 2 massive differences. First of all, the level is increased by 100, the starting level. So it's not going to be 275, it's going to be level 375. The second thing that changes is, as you can see, there is a higher reward pool with Elite Archimedea. You have higher chances of gaining yourself even more Archon Shards. And here you can also gain a maximum of 5 if you are going to be playing the Elite version. And you can also get yourself Tauforged Archon Shards as well. Now, Now, quickly to explain how this game mode is supposed to work. Selecting all of these negative aspects on the left side, or I guess the negative attributes on your left side, and also checking the Elite Archimedea box is going to already give you some research points. Now, choosing one of the 3 Warframes and primary, secondary, and melee is also going to give you more research points, meaning you're going to fully unlock all of the Elite Archimedea rewards. One of my highest recommendations for this is, considering you're almost always going to have random Warframes and weapons, always play this with a team, because if you die once, it's over. These are 3 continuous missions that you cannot interrupt, so keep that in mind. Get yourself at least somewhere around 40 minutes to complete these missions, a little bit less, but the rewards are well worth it. One thing that I do want to mention is going to be, whilst you're playing Elite or Deep Archimedea, Netracells, just playing bounties, you're going to be farming up Stela. Stela is going to be incredibly good because Stela is used for upgrading base Archon Shards into Tauforged Archon Shards, and also combining 2 different ones and create one of the 3 offset colors, I guess you could call them, which is going to be orange, green, and then purple. And one last thing before we leave the Sanctum Anatomica, we want to go to Birth 3 and buy the Helminth Coalescent segment. This is going to allow you to actually fuse and upgrade your base Archon Shards. Craft this, put in the segment in your spaceship, and you're pretty much set. Now, we want to talk about something that's more towards the end game, and I'm talking about the calendar and then Temporal Archimedea. Now, the calendar is unlocked when you complete the Hex quest, and once you complete the Hex quest and also increase your standing with the Hex in Warframe 1999, and whilst you're doing these bounties, you're going to be completing this calendar, and in this calendar you have a chance of getting yourself a free Archon Shard, and these Archon Shards can be one of the 6, so it's not going to be only yellow, red, and blue, but it's going to be all 6, counting orange, purple, and also green, so that's very nice. But it's not always guaranteed to spawn in the calendar, so keep that in mind, or I guess to be in the calendar. But where you're definitely going to get it is Temporal Archimedea. Temporal Archimedea is pretty much the same thing as Deep Archimedea. You have 3 Warframes, weapons, same little shebang, and you also have yourself the negative aspects on your left side, keeping in mind that the enemy level is higher here, and you can also apply stickers here. Now, these stickers will allow you to actually give yourself and your team sub buffs, maybe increasing damage on specific weapons, making enemies drop, for example, health, energy, ammo boxes that are going to give you elemental damage, and many different things, which you gain by actually playing Temporal Archimedea or Elite Archimedea. Elite Archimedea pretty much functions the same thing, adds in more rewards, and it makes it more difficult. And that's pretty much it. Now that we have covered how to get every single Archon Shard and all of the possible ways of getting yourself Archon Shards per week, we are going to cover the actual Archon Shards themselves. We have the Crimson Archon Shards. These are going to give you, as you can see up on screen, melee critical damage, primary status chance, secondary critical chance, ability strength, and ability duration. The Tauforged ones, as I mentioned earlier, are going to give you a little bit higher statistics. Now, we have Emperor ones, which are going to be yellow. These are going to be pretty good for energy, so maximum energy filled on spawn, effectiveness on health orbs, and on energy orbs, casting speed, and parkour velocity. We have Azure Archon Shards. These are going to give you health and shield and energy bonuses, so 150 health, we have shield capacity, energy max, armor, we have health regeneration per second, we have Emerald Archon Shards, which are going to be the green ones. These are going to be toxin status effects, deal 30% more damage. We have recovered 2 HP each time toxin procs, for example, gain 10% ability damage on enemy affected by corrosive, increases max stacks of corrosive by 2. And then we have Topaz Archon Shards, the orange ones. We have gain 1 health per enemy killed with blast damage, max 300 HP, regenerate 5 shield when you killed enemy with blast damage, increases secondary critical chance 1% every time you kill an enemy with heat, a maximum of 50%. For example, this is a little bit higher as well on our Tauforged Archon Shards, so keep that in mind. And we have our last one, gain 10% ability damage on enemies affected by radiation. And then we have the Violet Archon Shards, or the purple ones, gain 10% ability damage on enemies affected with electricity damage, gain 30% primary electricity damage, and gain 10% additional per Crimson Azure Violet Archon Shard equipped, and electricity damage will combine with these mods, so that is very nice. Then we have a gain 25% melee critical damage, and when max energy is over 500, the damage doubles, which is going to be very good. It is kind of ironic that it does the same thing as the red one does, but it's okay. And then we have health pickups give 20% more energy, and then vice versa, which is very good. This is sort of like a free equilibrium, just a little bit less effective. Now, I've mentioned every single one of them. Now, which Warframes should you place them on? Considering you're not going to get a lot of them in the beginning, it all depends on how many you can farm up. Nowadays, you can pretty much place them all around the place, considering you can gain a lot of them. But the way I pick my Warframes, where I'm going to place my Archon Shards, or at least my best Archon Shards, are going to be the Warframes that I use the most. Which Warframe is that going to be for you? I do not know. So I can't really give you a recommendation here, but always, at least in my opinion, always look for the best aspects of that specific Warframe that you're playing and then put in the corresponding Archon Shards. For example, Wukong right here in the background is very good with his stick, a build soon to come. And we have melee critical damage, which is going to be incredibly good because it's going to boost his best aspect. Nonetheless, to take them off, I do want to mention, you do not require only bile anymore, so it's going to be random resources to take them off. Each shard is different depending on if it's Topaz, Azure, Crimson, so on and so forth. And of course, you are going to need, as I mentioned earlier, Stela for combining them. You need 3 normal ones to combine into a Tauforged one, and you only need 2 of a different color to combine into a combined color. Keeping in mind that you cannot combine Topaz, Emerald, and Violet Archon Shards because those colors are not going to give you any Archon Shards. You can only combine the Crimson, Amber, and Azure ones. And that is pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed. This has been maybe a little bit of a longer guide. I have no idea how long I've been actually talking, but hopefully I didn't miss anything. If I did, leave it in the comment section down below. Like, hit that bell icon, subscribe, click all of those amazing buttons. I love you guys. There's going to be a video coming out on Saturday. It's going to be Wukong, so keep an eye on that. Love every single one of you guys. It's been the Gaming Weasel, over and out.